Welcome friends, back to another r/IDontWorkHereLady video. If you don't work here, prove it by hitting those like and subscribe buttons down below. I do it myself, but I can't. That said, our first story of the day is by OutdoorCat19. I do not work in this strip club. I've been browsing this sub for a while now, and I can't believe I never thought to tell you guys the story of how, on my 18th birthday, I was mistaken for an employee at a strip club. It sounds fake, but I promise that it's not. Disclosure, this happened a decade ago. I was the last one to turn 18 in my friends group, so on my 18th birthday, we decided to go out and do all the things you can legally do at 18 in the US. Buy cigarettes and lottery tickets and go to a strip club. Before going out, I was on the phone with a friend and I asked her what to wear. She said, dress for a night to remember. And my 18-year-old brain interpreted that as, wear a teeny tiny dress. Folks, this thing was skin tight and short with vertical black and white stripes, like an umpire or a prisoner in an old-timey cartoon. So I met up with my friends and they were all dressed much more casually than me. Miss Dress for a Night to Remember was in jeans and a t-shirt if I recall. But whatever, it was my birthday and I was dressed up. It was fine. We went to the strip club and were milling around on the floor, not knowing what to do. We lived in a fairly small college town, so the club was small and tacky. Suddenly, I felt a hand on my shoulder. I turned around to a middle-aged woman in all black. I assumed she was a manager. She asked, "Why aren't you in the dressing room?" Then must have immediately noticed her mistake, because she said, "Oh, I thought you were a dancer." But either way, that was a lovely introduction to the legal adulthood, and I don't think I ever wore that dress again. Nothing like putting on what you thought was your nicest dress, and then having that dress immediately be associated with being way too overdressed compared to your friends. And then wearing that dress makes you get confused for somebody that works at a strip club. Just a real quick route to totally ruining any attachment to that dress. If you got confused for one of the workers in this situation, would you be more confused? Would you just explain? Or would you want to tell them off for confusing you with the workers there? Let me know in the comments down below. Our next story is by Lord of the Creep. Got cussed out while loading groceries into my trunk. So there was about 3 carts in a parking space across from where I parked in the Walmart parking lot, and I was loading my groceries in the trunk. Lady goes to pull into the space with 3 carts and stops, honks, waits, honks again, then gets out and shouts at me, "Why won't you just do your freaking job? Get these carts out of the way," as she's moving them violently. I tell her, "I don't work here." She replied, "Couldn't tell. How the heck should I know that? You should have done it anyway." I reply, "You should pucker up on my puckered parts, cause I don't work here and I didn't put the carts there. Find another spot instead of cussing out a stranger." She replied, "I'm going to talk to management." I reply, "Be my guest." I've never laughed harder than when I drive past the entrance to see the woman standing there with someone who appeared to be a manager pointing angrily at me. This Karen is definitely the person that, as a kid, they were the one to walk up to you with their stuffed teddy bear, smack you upside the head with it, and then when you flip out and get angry, they get scared and go running to mom and dad. Probably get coddled too because they're the favorite. It's stuff like that that causes these people to grow up to be Karens. Our next story is by Art Zuli. Kid and his parents thought I worked in the computer shop. For a little context, it was 2018 and I'm a college student, BSIT at that time. I skipped class that day since there's a program happening at the school and we don't really have classes that time, but we're still required to go to school for attendance, and this college university closes its gate and no one can go inside if you entered. The computer shop I went to is my favorite computer shop near the university. I play Crossfire PH, an FPS game that I've been playing since 4th grade. As the game I entered ended, I noticed a young boy with his laptop cursing at it for being slow. I got curious and went to him and asked for him to let me see his laptop. "What are you gonna do?" he asked. And I told him that I can maybe help him fix the computer in exchange for him to keep his voice down. He handed me his laptop and I immediately look at what's happening and notice his laptop's storage is red. So I cleaned it up for him and his recycle bin is at 90 gigabytes. So I asked him if he still needed the files and he responded with no. So I proceeded to delete it and clean the temporary files and change his power options to high performance since it was in power saver, and his laptop's faster now. And as a promise, he kept his voice down. Then I returned to the unit I'm playing in and played the rest of the day. The next day, I saw the kid again. This time he's with someone. I'm playing this time too, and I didn't really care about it. However, I overheard them asking for a technician that works in the computer shop. Then the unit I'm using received a warning for 5 minutes session time left, so I stand up and went to the counter to extend my time, and the kid noticed me and yelled, "That's him!" So I was concerned to what the heck I did or if I'm in trouble. Then the person with them introduced himself as the kid's father and thanked me for fixing his son's laptop, then proceeded to hand me payment for fixing it. I was reluctant to accept it. However, I was still dumbfounded at the moment, and before I could speak, they already left. I definitely have an appreciation for people like OP who they feel like they're not doing very much, they help out for free, and then when somebody tries to give like a tip or some kind of payment for helping out, they'd be the type of person to go, "Oh, no, it's fine, don't worry." You can tell people like that got a good heart. This next story is by Damage Throwaway 87, Time Traveling Employee. I'm an 18th century reenactor. Sometimes I'll have a presentation during the day, and I'm too lazy to change clothes to go to the store at night. The other night, I was wearing a green wool jacket. The cut and style, even to modern eyes, is old. The style, in fact, can be worn accurately even in the 17th century. The hat I was wearing is very similar to a musketeer-style hat. The shoes are buckled. My reason for the visit was because one of my kids was sick, and I couldn't find our thermometer and needed one ASAP. It was not a time for me to take my time. The major grocery store I went to used green polo shirts in the early 2000s, but since about 2010 had been using black, red, or blue, depending on the department or promotion. I'm walking to the register and a man stops me. He says, "Excuse me, sir, can you tell me where so-and-so are?" I say, "You've gotta be kidding me." As much as I wanted to figure out how I could possibly be a store employee, I just didn't have time. Well, you never know. Maybe they're hiring mascots now. Maybe they just want to be inclusive and have an old-timey employee uniform. Honestly, I have no idea. Our next story is by TurtleMoon50, Faith in Humanity Restored. After my shift, I was shopping and had a customer approach me as she was looking at her phone. She opened her mouth to speak, but then took a beat and noticed I had a shopping cart with items in it. They then said, "You're off the clock, aren't you?" and starts to turn away. I say, "It's okay, what are you looking for?" They say, "No, it's okay, I'll just keep looking." I say, "You can show me. I'm actually from the deli, but I might know where it's located." Unfortunately, I'd never seen the item before, but I told her a couple of likely places to look. The fact that she tried to wave me off twice was so appreciated that it made me happy to try to help her. This is like one of those weird reverse psychology plays. They're like, "Oh, you work here, but you're not actually working right now? Never mind, I don't need your help." Makes the other side go, "Well, wait, hold on, I can help you." They say, No, it's fine, you're off the clock." Let me help you, darn it. This next story is by Weekend Wench. I don't work for them. We're a completely different company, and you came to us. I am really at a loss as to how this happens, but it happens a lot. I work for a remodeling company we'll call ABC. There's a home builder that we'll call XYZ. We both sell the same brand of cabinets, but we're in no way, shape, or form related in any way. Our names are different, our location is different, our whole way of doing business is completely different. Today, a lady came into my store and asked me to give her a quote for adding some cabinets to her existing kitchen. I tell her, "Sure, we can do that. Let's start with what style and color you have now so that we can match." This is when Karen flips her script and goes off on me. "How am I supposed to know what style and color I have? You built my home. You should have all that information on a record. You tell me." I have to explain to her that she bought her home from XYZ Builder, but we are ABC Remodeler. There is no possible way that I have access to that information. I do not and have not ever worked for XYZ. We are not the same company. Let me stress that she came to our store and thought we worked for her original home builder just because we both carry the same brand. Wait a minute, are you telling me that just because two places carry the same brand doesn't mean they're the same company? You mean to tell me that the baking soda I bought from the vendor behind my local Walmart isn't actually a chef for my local bakery? Well shoot, I thought it seemed weird. Hasn't been capturing any odors in my fridge at all. Our next story is by Speaker for the Coyote. She didn't even know what to say. I'm shopping at a home improvement store that's chronically understaffed. I need a few more of a certain item than what's stocked on a shelf, but there's more in the back stock on the upper shelves. One of the store's rolling ladders is standing right there and not an orange apron in sight, so I just scamper right up and help myself. As I'm descending with my prize, she appears. Haircut and all, she, in that angry, condescending tone she always uses with lesser beings, says, "Excuse me, can I get some help?" I say politely for now, "Oh, I don't work here." She says, "Yes, you do. I just saw you up on that ladder." I say, "Yeah, just getting what I need for myself. You'll need to find a store employee to help you. Good luck with that." She says, "I demand you help me." Me, feeling a little childish and having some old retail trauma to work out, said, "Don't wanna." And I stomped my whittle foot like a toddler because two can play this game. She said, "What? Are you refusing to help me?" I said, "Yep, because I don't work here, so I don't gotta. And anyway, you didn't say please." She said, "Well, you're rude." I said, "Yeah, and mean and ugly too." She said, wait, what?" I said, "Also, I'm lazy and have questionable hygiene, unpopular political views, weak moral fiber, and I don't love Jesus." She splutters and wibbles a bit. "Well, I never." I say, "Well, maybe you shoulda." And away I strut, leaving her there with her chin on her chest. Sometimes the best way to deal with people is just kind of take them in your hands and mix them up like a Rubik's Cube. By the time you're gone, they won't know what to think. And our final story of the day is by Where's the Eggman? Do I really work here after all? I stopped by a big box electronics store to look for a new computer monitor on my way back to my office from a court appearance. I left my suit jacket in my car, but was wearing a tie. Somebody walked up behind me and said, "Hey, I bought this god darn thing here," and I turned around to see an old guy with a big red nose that looked like somebody had jammed a potato into the middle of his face. You know the type. He reminded me of the Chris Farley character who lives in a van down by the river and probably spends most of his day waiting for kids to walk on his lawn so he can yell at them to get off of it. Before he could finish his sentence, I said, "Wait a minute. That's no way to start a conversation. You need to start over," and turned back to looking at the monitor. "Don't turn your back on me," he yelled. I looked over my shoulder and told him, "Until you decide to show some common courtesy, I'm not talking to you." By that point, several employees were watching from a distance. I exchanged quick smiles with a couple of them, so it was clear they were just enjoying the show. Potato Nose really started losing his stuff. "I'm a customer of this store," he bellowed. "Look at me when I'm talking to you." "I don't care if you're the Queen of England," I replied. "I've already explained how this is going to work. Either you start over by calmly saying, 'Excuse me, may I speak to you for a moment?' and I'll respond, 'Of course,' and give you my undivided attention, or you can continue to rant and rave, and I won't put up with it. Your choice." "That's it. Where's the manager? I'll have your job." "Even if I wasn't self-employed, you couldn't have my job," I replied. "First, you need a 4-year degree, followed by 3 years of law school. Then you'd have to take the hardest bar exam in the country with a pass rate around 60%. I really doubt you could do any of that because you couldn't even figure out that I'm a customer too, and all the employees wear identical polo shirts. But I'll tell you what, I will find the manager to point you out and tell them you're incredibly rude. So if you try to complain about any of the employees, they'll know any problems are your fault." As I walked away, one of the polo-shirted employees who'd been watching rushed up to me, giggling with excitement. "That was awesome," she said. "I'm the manager and I wish I could do stuff like that. Just let me know what you're buying and I'll give you the employee discount." She almost fell over laughing when I said, "Wait a minute, does that mean I really do work here after all?" Honestly, if you're gonna make a manager's day like that and put down some total jerk of a customer, I'm sure there's a lot of managers out there willing to make you an honorary employee for a day just from the satisfaction you generated for them. It's like scratching a 1,000-year itch getting to watch that. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So of all these stories I've read today, which is your favorite and why? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't yet, if you could like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. Whatever you do, whether it's liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, all of it helps grow this channel and I appreciate the heck out of it. So until next time, I'll see you all tomorrow with some more stories.